This module is called the art of logos, or if it don't make sense, it won't make dollars. Logos comes to us from the Greek for logic. Logic is a formal system of analysis that helps prove arguments. It works by testing propositions against one another to determine their accuracy. People often think they are using logic when they avoid emotion or make arguments based on their common sense, such as, everyone should look out for their own self-interest, or people have the right to be free. Geniuses. However, unemotional or common sense statements are not always equivalent to logical statements. To be logical, a proposition must be tested within a logical sequence. Aristotle gave us the most famous logical sequence called the syllogism. His most famous syllogism is this one. Premise 1, all men are mortal. Premise 2, Socrates is a man. Conclusion, therefore Socrates is mortal. Within this system, if both premises are considered valid, then the conclusion must be logical. Well, that's convenient. Let's try another one as an example. Premise 1, all students in this course are ProMod students. Premise 2, Kayla is a student in this course. Conclusion, Kayla is a ProMod student. Seems legit. So how can you use logic in your writing? Well, first, don't assume your audience automatically understands your logic. Start by identifying your syllogism and then walking your audience through the logical sequence. So lay out each premise clearly, provide evidence for each premise, and draw a connection to the conclusion. What if, for example, you wanted to make the argument that companies should replace paper advertisements with digital ones? Well, first, you're going to need to come up with your syllogism. Let's say that premise 1 is companies who use paper for their advertisements are not using the most sustainable method of advertising. And let's say that premise 2 is that Dunder Mifflin is using paper for their advertisements. So your conclusion can logically be that Dunder Mifflin is not using the most sustainable method of advertising. And therefore they should change its practices, right? I mean, that's only logical. Maybe you can see where this is going. I mean, look at Dwight's face. So it turns out sometimes people use their values and emotions instead of logic to make decisions, but more on that in another module. What you need to do is focus on making your logic strong. Audiences sometimes reach different logical conclusions by using different premises. So here's the secret, and it's where most people go wrong when attempting to persuade someone by using logic. Logical arguments must often spend as much time convincing their audiences of the legitimacy of the premises as they do convincing them of the legitimacy of the conclusions. So let's head back to that hypothetical syllogism. If we look at premise 1, we can see that we're assuming a company wants to use the most sustainable method of advertising. And in premise 2, we're assuming someone like Dwight would even consider giving up paper for their advertisements. There's work to do here. Luckily, in the Logos module, you're going to find external readings and exercises to help you master this skill. We'll look at effective logic, some research hacks to help you find data. We'll look at logical fallacies, which is using misleading logic for evil, and examples of logic in motion in your everyday life. It's all around you. So if you would, spend some time observing advertisements, politicians, your Facebook feed and Twitter feed, and even dining hall arguments this week. Don't be creepy about it, but maybe make some notes when you see logic being used well or miserably badly. Get good at recognizing logic at work. Okay, one more syllogism for the road. Premise 1, all students who complete this module will understand logic. Premise 2, all final presentations are going to require sound logic to be successful. Ergo, in conclusion, all students who complete this module could be successful in their final presentations.
Created using Powtoon.